Representative Lauren Boebert has a bit of a conflict of interest. I think we've talked about that before. See, Terra Energy Partners, which is a Houston-based oil and gas company that happens to drill on federal land and therefore gets federal drilling permits and leases, paid Boebert's husband, Jason, almost $1 million in 2019 and 2020 as a political consultant. So now this is not new information. This is according to her latest financial disclosures. And by the way, she had failed to disclose that in 2019, her husband's work for Terra Energy Partners in her financial disclosure form, and then just recently did so. Huh, you just forgot. Is that what happened? Like, oh, I don't know. I guess I should file my financial disclosure forms that could show a massive conflict of interest. But, oh, whoopsie, oh no, I forgot for an entire year. No, come on. So now, again, not new information. Last month, Terra Energy told the Colorado Sun that Boebert's husband provided contract drilling services as an on-site drilling foreman to Terra since 2017. And Lauren herself has her own business ties to the company, previously named as the registered agent of an LLC that is the current registered agent for Boebert Consulting in Colorado corporate records. All right. And now, again, this is all information that we've already known. So, well, okay, now what? What's the conflict of interest other than obviously that? Or I should say, what's an example of conflict of interest? So she's got all this, her husband works for this, this company as a consultant, and she does her own thing. All right, so how does that affect her policy? Why is this corruption? Well, because this week she began putting forward a package of amendments that would both gut landmark climate legislation and save her husband's business quite a bit of money. That's why. According to reporting from Julia Rock and Andrew Perez in the Daily Poster, during the first markup of Democrats' $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill, the first-term Colorado Congresswoman authored several different initiatives. One of her amendments would have eliminated a provision of the legislation subjecting fossil fuel companies to new fees when their fracking operations emit methane. So she's like, no, we can't do that. No. Don't you dare put fees on our methane. How dare you? How dare you? 3 separate amendments would also block another part of the bill that would increase royalties on onshore oil and gas drilling on federal land from 12.5% to 20%, create new bonding requirements for oil and gas companies, ensuring they have, of course, money to clean up any abandoned infrastructure in case of bankruptcy, and levy fines on companies that do not clean up their abandoned wells. All of those amendments, again, pushed by Lauren Boebert, which would have helped Lauren Boebert, thankfully were shot down. But they could resurface when the infrastructure bill moves to the House floor and to the Senate. Oh, gee, would you look at that? Wow, here she is, pushing amendments that would make her richer. Now, look, this is, again, not the only person in Congress that has ever done corruption or even tries to do corruption. No, 134 members of Congress owned up to $93 million in stock in fossil fuel corporations. Boebert's ties to the industries, however, are among one of the most direct of any lawmaker in Congress, because most are like, oh, it's in a blind trust from my investment package. Literally, her husband, though, is a consultant. Now, look, another example of a very direct relationship is Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin's a Democrat. West Virginia makes double his congressional salary from fossil fuel investments in waste coal power plants. Incredibly dirty fuels. And look at that, he is also against doing anything about climate change in the $3.5 trillion reconciliation package. Weird. Oh, so weird. I mean, what's the coincidence, right? No, they're both allied in order to make themselves more money. And this isn't the only time she's tried to do that. Since winning office in 2020, Boebert has helped fossil fuel industry lobbyists push measures in order to weaken climate policy. Those amendments happen to coincide with the company's new drilling leases, the ones that she just pushed, Last week, the Bureau of Land Management approved new natural gas drilling leases for the company on federal land in western Colorado. The company and its subsidiaries are the more than 5,500 natural gas wells in Boebert's district alone. Terra Energy ranks fourth in total methane emissions among U.S. oil and gas companies. That's why, of course, that company, well, would be paying a lot in fees for methane emissions. So now, earlier this year, Boebert also introduced legislation to reverse Biden's executive order halting new leases for oil and gas drilling on federal land. So now, what sucks about that is that even though there was a moratorium on new leases, the administration still allowed permits on already leased land. So Donald Trump, for example, authorized every single drilling permit that came across the set. Oh, yo, you want to drill for oil? Oh, yeah, sign it. Oh, you want to drill for natural gas? Oh, yeah, I'll sign that. I'll sign it all. Clean coal. We take the coal out, we clean it. Yeah, sure, great. Sign it off. Great, wonderful. So what sucks is that Biden comes in office as well, no new leases. But then you have a mountain of old leases from the previous administration where he's like, oh, no, go ahead. Yeah, do as you will. Seriously, though. Climate change is a gigantic problem. And the administration is going, no, go ahead. We already approved those leases. Nothing I can do. Bad. And what's worse is that a federal judge, the new moratorium, the moratorium on new leases, gone, struck down by a federal court, a federal judge. The administration is appealing, but now, of course, thanks to that injunction, now we have an open leasing process. So, I mean, what is it going to take to convince people that corporations have purchased our government and literally serve in the government, as Boebert is? Boebert's just a walking billboard at this point. She is the corporation. I mean, she's literally married to it. And of course, she's out there being able to push legislation to make decisions that directly impact her finances, her business. That is incredible corruption. I mean, it's literally in your face. It's a clear conflict of interest, and it's so incredibly blatant. I mean, oh, my husband's company releases methane. Let's stop fees for companies that release methane. What are you talking about? I'm serving Colorado. I'm serving my constituents. What are you talking? No, you're not. You're serving yourself. You're serving yourself. And yet, these are the same people, by the way. They're like, oh yeah, you know what? Corruption. No, I got to drain the swamp. Got to end the corruption, end the earmarks, and all that stuff. You are the corruption. You're another example of it. One of the many examples that serve in Congress. Boebert's campaign finance documents also list Boebert Consulting spouse, but had listed his income as NA. So she knows it's a conflict of interest. That's why she's hiding this stuff. And that's the thing. She also claimed her income came primarily from her failing restaurant. That's not true. Terra Energy Partners is one of the largest producers of natural gas in Colorado and has multiple facilities in Boebert's district. There's no way that she's not, that their family does not receive a majority of their income from those investments from that company. Not only that, but the FEC is investigating Boebert for using $6,000 in campaign cash to pay for her own personal expenses, including some, a trip where she spent, where she traveled apparently 38,000 miles in one campaign and had tried to recoup like $22,000 in travel costs. Corruption. Total corruption. And it's right in your face. It's right there. And, we've got to do something about it. And the money in politics. Kick out the corrupt and the money in politics and change the system. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel. by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.